The first thing the man felt was heat. Heat from the unforgiving sun baking down. By the time he came around, it had already reddened his upturned face and blistered his lips. The next thing he noticed was yet more heat, but this time it came from within himself, from below himself, as if from the earth on which he lay. He forced his eyes open, just a crack at first. All he could see were stinging pinpricks of light through a gauze of pink that edged out to redness. Jagged little snatches of memory drizzled back to him at the same time, and not a bit of it impressed him. All this told him was that he had to be dead, given what he was recalling. He almost wished he had lost his ability to recall anything, so awful were the bits of memory of what he had seen and lived through. Or had he? Then sound flooded in and became more pronounced. But at first, all he could hear was a whooshing and thudding. With more effort than he'd bet he'd expended on anything in ages, the man lifted his head. It wobbled on its feeble stalk of a neck. He cracked his right eye wider than it slit and saw bright, warm light and little else. How on earth did he get here? And where was here? All he could recall was fighting. Seemed that was all he'd done since he was born. What did that mean? Notions, facts, or perhaps they were fabrications, he could not yet tell, flitted in and out of his mind. He gritted his teeth and fought to keep his eyes open. There he looked down along the length of his body and saw himself stretched out on his back in the sun. His clothes looked sodden. Must be sweat, he thought. And then, as if someone had clapped their hands to awaken him fully, he remembered who he was. And from that revelation, it was a short jump to how he got here, wherever here was. He figured that in time, that too would come. And then he remembered the war and the cursed Yankees who started it. And there he was, all laid out, baking in the sun, not certain how alive he was, or if he was on his way out. The latter possibility seemed the most likely, given the pain he felt, the light burning away at him, and the rush of memories flooding into his mind. But right then, he figured he knew who he was, and that was pretty good. He was Chaw Dagworth, private in the Army of the Confederate States of America. He glanced down at himself again as he struggled to raise himself up onto an elbow, and if he was in the Confederate Army, then that meant his uniform would be gray. And if that was the case, why was it so sodden-looking? Ah, yes, the fighting. The cursed fool big war twixt the states, a protracted fracas, as his old colonel used to say, caused by Yankee bellicosity.